All right, so are you ready to explore the world?
I am.
Awesome, because today we are diving deep into the world of travel.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, it was inspired by this podcast.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Wanderlust Chronicles, stories from the road.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's uh it's really interesting because it's not like your typical travel guide.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just about where to go and, what hotel to stay in.
It's more about the experience.
Yes, exactly.
Like, why do we even travel in the first place?
Right.
What are we hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, and they really emphasize that it's more than just taking selfies at landmarks or checking things off a list.
It's about pushing your boundaries,
Right.
getting outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, have you ever gone somewhere and been totally surprised by the experience?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Right.
there's this one time I went to Morocco and I thought it was going to be all bustling markets and haggling,
Right.
but I ended up spending a lot of time in the Sahara Desert.
Wow.
Out in the vastness and quiet, and I felt so connected to nature.
Right.
It was completely different than what I expected.
Yeah, and kind of life-changing, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, totally. It shifted my whole perspective.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this podcast, Wanderlust Chronicles. It really captures that feeling of transformation.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So speaking of amazing places to visit, they actually highlight 3 destinations for 2024: Kyoto, Patagonia, and Marrakech.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I've heard of all those places, but I've never been to any of them.
Yeah, me neither, but they sound amazing.
Yeah.
Like Kyoto, for example, with all its ancient temples and traditional tea ceremonies.
Sounds peaceful.
Yeah, right. And then you've got Patagonia with the rugged mountains and vast glaciers.
That's definitely more of an adventure.
Yeah, right. For the outdoorsy type.
Right.
And then Marrakech, which is a melting pot of old and new. So,
That sounds super vibrant.
right. Yeah, so it's really interesting how they've chosen these destinations because they each tap into different travel trends.
Totally. It's like Kyoto is for people who are looking for mindfulness and authentic cultural experiences.
Right.
Patagonia is for those who are into ecotourism and, like you said, adventure.
Right.
And then Marrakech is for people who want vibrant energy and cultural immersion.
Totally. Yeah, so I'm curious which of those destinations could have appeals to you the most.
That's a tough one. I think I'm drawn to Patagonia's raw beauty.
Yeah.
I love the idea of experiencing those landscapes and just connecting with nature.
Yeah, that sounds pretty incredible.
How about you?
I think I would have to go with Kyoto.
Oh, yeah.
It just sounds so peaceful and serene, and I love the idea of experiencing those traditional tea ceremonies and Zen
It
gardens.
just sounds very zen.
Right. And I feel like in our always-on world, that's something that we could all use a little bit more of.
Definitely.
So in addition to highlighting those destinations, Wanderlust Chronicles also gives some really smart travel tips.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, I talk about packing light, which is always a good one.
Right, I am terrible at that.
Me too. And then embracing the local culture.
Like trying the food.
Yes, exactly. And learning a few phrases in the local language.
Yeah, that's always a good idea.
Yeah. And then they also talk about staying flexible because, things don't always go according to plan when you're traveling.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got to be able to roll with the punches.
Right. And I think that's a really important tip because it can be easy to get stressed out when things go wrong.
Absolutely. But if you can stay flexible and open to new experiences, then it can actually make your trip even better.
Yeah, for sure. So out of all the tips they gave, what resonated with you the most?
I really appreciate their emphasis on mindful travel.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's about being present, respecting local customs, and really engaging with the destination.
Right.
They told the story about a traveler who learned a few basic phrases in the local language and how that simple effort led to these amazing interactions with people. Yeah, it's about making that effort to connect with the culture on a deeper level.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me of this one story from the podcast that really stuck with me.
What's that?
It was about a traveler who was chasing the northern lights in Iceland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they were driving through these freezing temperatures for hours, and then finally they saw them these vibrant green and purple hues just dancing across the sky.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it just reminded me of the sheer awe-inspiring beauty of our planet.
Yeah, I mean, that's what travel is all about, right? It's about stepping outside of our comfort zones, embracing the unexpected.
Right, and those experiences, whether it's seeing the northern lights or sharing a meal with locals,
Right.
they create memories that last a lifetime.
And they give us a sense of wonder and interconnectedness.
Totally.
Yeah.
So for those of us who are feeling inspired to plan our next adventure,
Yes.
Wanderlust Chronicles Also had some really practical advice on planning.
Like what?
Well, they talk about setting a budget first and foremost.
Right, gotta be realistic.
Yeah. And then choosing your destination based on your interests and the time of year you want to travel.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, booking your flights and accommodation in advance to get the best deals.
Smart.
Yeah. And for those of us who like to geek out on the details,
Like me?
yeah, what resources would you recommend?
Well, there's so much information available online now. There
Yeah.
are travel blogs and forums, even apps that curate itineraries and compare prices.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And a lot of them are free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the key is to find resources that align with your travel style and interests.
Right. So ultimately, anyone can embark on a meaningful journey.
Right, exactly. You don't have to be like a millionaire or a travel expert.
Right.
It could be something as simple as exploring a new neighborhood in your city,
Yeah. Or trying a cuisine you've never had before.
or even taking a different route to work.
Right. The point is to embrace that spirit of exploration and keep discovering new things.
Totally. I love that.
Mhm. Yeah. And it makes me think about, like, Wanderlust Chronicles focused on physical journeys.
Mm.
But I think the same principles can be applied to any kind of exploration.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Like, what if we approached learning a new skill or diving into a new subject with that same sense of adventure and openness?
I love that idea because stepping outside of our comfort zones, whether it's geographically or intellectually,
Right.
it can lead to incredible growth and self-discovery.
Totally. So keep that adventurous spirit alive.
Yes.
And remember, the world is full of exciting possibilities just waiting to be explored.
I'm ready to book my next trip.
Me too.
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good.